So today I just wanted to talk about We Are Still Here, and it's a picture book by Traci Sorell and illustrated by Frane Lessac, and it's published by Charles Bridge Publishing near me in Watertown. And so this definitely looks like the sequel to Traci and Frane's award-winning picture book, We Are Grateful. But it's actually very different. I mean, it's equally as good, but it's just We Are Grateful has sort of a message of gratitude and hopefulness. And this is very much more meaty and weighty. And it's really about the history of Native Americans here in the United States. So she covers a lot of ground, and there's a lot of information, but very crisply and simply presented. And so the main message I thought would be of the book is like Native Americans, are still, here in the present day, which is, something that like even my children thought like Native Americans were just from long ago, but there's actually so much more to this book, and that's what makes it like really, really informative and amazing. And so just in the first page, which is, really sort of like, like the warm-up page, she has the book structured. So like this is Indigenous Peoples Day Project. And you have 12 children, each presenting on a topic. And so that sounds, that's like sort of a good framework for presenting all these different topics. And so, for example, the topics are assimilation, allotment, Indian New Deal, termination, relocation, tribal activism, self-determination, Indian child welfare and education, religious freedom, economic development, language revival, and sovereign resurgence. So right there, I mean, in terms for a picture book, these are a lot of topics that, like, I would say, like, most of us don't know anything about. Like, for example, I haven't heard of a lot of these topics, how they pertain to Indigenous Peoples Day or Native American history. Like, it's not something that you learn in, like, AP US history, for example. Like, I took AP US history, and none of this was covered. And so each topic in itself has like a lot of information in terms of like what is assimilation, what does that mean. And so she gives you kind of like a one sentence example, like explanation of what is assimilation, but the real importance of each spread is to show the impact. So she's really exposing the structural racism of the United States, in the United States government, throughout history, and how it affected Native Americans. And so, for example, assimilation, this is Winoa's presentation, and it's about how, the Native American people's culture and ways were not respected. And then specifically, what does that mean? And so she says, from the earliest days, white men sought to weaken our native nation's power to govern, destroy Native American families by taking our children away, sending many to boarding school, outlawing our sacred practices, and punishing us for speaking our own languages. And so, like, it's like a lot of information that's factual that is also stunning. Like most people may not know about that. And even that one sentence about sending many to boarding schools, that in itself could be, like a book to explain what was the residential boarding school program and what did that mean. And so that's just, and then despite all this, the message is that Native nations say we are still here. And so it's like each page you go through, sort of what is the topic, what did that mean, and what did it mean for the Native American people. And it's just like, it's so there's so much information, there's so much to learn, that this book does the work of, like a textbook or, like a history book, but in a way that's sort of bite-sized. You know what I mean? Like, so you can learn about it and say like, wow, I didn't know that. And then also if that's a topic you want to learn more about, then you know that you can dive deeper. And she provides some of that deep diving in the back with more information to describe like what each topic means, and to learn more about it. Like if you wanted to look it up, and research it. But then she also provides a timetable, a timeline, and that kind of shows like the impact of decisions and things that were done, like in terms of laws or in terms of, policies that were created. And that kind of ties back to each topic. So when and it really kind of describes the structural racism. So like when the government did this is how it impacted the indigenous people from that point and for a very long time after that, and it had permanent or it had very deep repercussions and effects. Some were positive, but most were not. And it just kind of gives you like a framework to understand what Native American peoples faced and how they were oppressed, and even more. And then she continues more deep dive information with a glossary of terms, and then her own author's note. And so, like in the guise of a picture book, it's actually a very deep, sort of history. That it covers history, it covers government, it covers, it covers a lot. And so I think it's sort of genius that she did it around these topics that I think we all could learn more about, but also provides information for further discussion. So I think it definitely should be in every school library, but it can be used at an earlier age, like elementary school. Even in college, like through high school, through middle school, through college, because it just kind of tees you up to give you enough information where you have some understanding of, sort of this like hundreds of years of history and what happened, to set you up for like, now I can get deeper understanding, or at least now I understand, why we're celebrating that, that Native Americans are still here. So anyway, I just wanted to say how helpful and great this book is, and I purchased this book myself and used it for a multicultural children's book club. So I'll be giving it away. Anyway, thank you all for watching.